It's another episode of the Crazy People podcast. Today on the podcast, from Moolathon, Mac Wilkinson. Cool guy, huh, Maurice?
Absolutely. And his new name, by the way, is Magic.
Magic.
If you want to know more and why that happened, stay tuned for it. But I think he's a perfect example of making the most out of the situation handed to him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And really working for what he got. Right? He worked for what he got. He took advantage of the opportunities presented themselves, and he stayed open for whatever came next. Right? And he's a brilliant example for traveling, seeing, experiencing different cultures, and what that does to you, and how it broadens your horizon, and staying on the brighter side of life, and just having fun with it, while doing an exceptional job with the work that you do. And being deeply rooted in your network of people that you surround you and your city and your social environment.
Yeah, and to me, I thought it was really cool how every step of his story was like, I just made the absolute most of every little opportunity I was thrown. Like I just found a way and just absorbed everything I could do, and I could learn, and I could just take the next opportunity. You see so many people who start disadvantaged like Mac did, and Mac was like, whatever opportunity comes by, I'm just going to grab onto it. And how he learned from being a teenager that now he's doing stuff that solves the problem that he had back then. So it's just super cool.
And trusting to pick up whatever skills are necessary along the way. Right? Obviously, it's hard work, but you can do it.
And after this very serious intro, we laughed a lot in this podcast. So we cracked each other up quite a bit. So stay tuned. You're going to love this one.
Absolutely. All right, here we go.
Because really, what could go wrong once you press record, right?
Exactly. What could go wrong? It's all got to be very perfect.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Crazy People Doing a Podcast, the Crazy People Podcast. I am Russ. On the other side is the Captain of Curiosity, Maurice Hofmann, and in the hot seat between us today, Mac Wilkinson. Welcome, Mac.
Hey, glad to be here. Thank you guys for having me.
Well, before we get started, Mac, maybe let's rewind, jump in the hot tub time machine, and go back to where you came from. How'd you get here? Certainly you were not always here. Tell us about yourself.
Yeah, my story kind of goes way back. I'm a Louisville kid, born and raised here in Louisville, Kentucky. And actually, in a first life of mine, I was an athlete, played high school ball at one of the top high schools in the country right here in Louisville, Kentucky, and then went on to play at the University of Louisville. Ended up graduating from Howard University, and I played professionally overseas 8 years. Yeah, so a lot of people may know me from basketball in my first life, and now in this second life, I've got this whole rebirth as an entrepreneur. And a lot of things that, from my basketball and professional basketball career has led me into starting Moolathon, going all the way kind of back to college. Unfortunately, when I played, and unlike the L days of today, we weren't able to make any money. And so everyone had some sort of side hustle that they were going to make money with. And my big thing was, hey, I'm going to throw parties and charge people to come have fun with me, right? After I threw my first party, it was a decent event. But the thing that everybody kept coming back to me for was I had drawn up this like cool little handmade flyer. And so after my party, instead of everybody coming up saying, hey, your party was amazing, I had a blast, they were like, hey, can you make a flyer for me? Like your flyer? And so that instantly turned into a quick $25. And then I turned that into another $50 for doing another flyer here and there. And before you know it, I was doing album artwork for people to make some money. And then someone asked me to do a website, which I didn't know how to do, but of course I told him I did. And
you got this. It's all right.
Yeah, I figured that out. And man, before I graduated college, man, my little hustle ended up being a full-blown design and branding studio. So self-taught graphic design and branding. And I was very fortunate to go on, like I said, to play professional basketball overseas. But simultaneously, some of my peers had went on to play in the NBA and also in the NFL and had made some names for themselves. And one of these good friends of mine asked me, who had signed a deal with Nike, asked me to create a logo for him. And so I got to create a logo for him, which led to me doing some branding and apparel for Nike, which I then parlayed into a job after I got done playing over my 8 years. So I was just moonlighting with them a little bit and got to work with Nike. And then I turned that into a job with Anta, which is the second largest sports apparel company in all of China. They've got over 1,800 retail stores. And I got to do some design and branding with them. And along the time working with them, they asked me to design an app, which I had never done before. But of course, just like my history, I told them I knew
We got
exactly
this. Yeah,
I got this. Don't worry about it. We'll figure it out. So I designed this like really simple app that would just show like what stores the athletes were coming to and which stores that they had been to. And it was just super simple map app, pictures, photos, that kind of thing. But I fell in love with UI UX design. And I knew for a fact that once I had the opportunity to design my own app, once I had the right idea, that's what I wanted to do. It was like, one day I'm going to design my own app. And then China ended up, and I ended up coming back home and working with some of the charities that I support. And I got to work with some of the charities. And I remember having this moment after we organized the 5K. And at the end, they were sending out, we raised $23,000. And I'm thinking, how in the heck did they raise $23,000 when, and it instantly triggered me? Because back as a kid, I remembered playing on underprivileged sports teams. I'm talking 2-3 months out of my summer was spent washing cars, selling mulch, door to door doing candy, all of this usually to scrape together like $500-$600 to go on a trip or for some uniforms. So my mind was blown to hear them raise $23,000. And so it kind of got me on this whole snowball road of how can I make that level of fundraising accessible to whether it be schools, whether it be underprivileged sports teams like I played on. And that sort of was the birth of Moolathon, which was sort of thinking back to my pain point as a kid, spending my whole summer raising money, selling mulch and popcorn and washing cars and all that stuff. To now, helping organize 5Ks for these companies that was raising $23,000. And then my history with UI, UX design and me knowing that I wanted to develop an app. So it all came to that precipice at that point.
Wow.
Sorry, I didn't mean to go off on a tangent, but you asked, and I mean, I'm just gonna let you know right now. If you keep asking those questions, it's gonna make me snowball, then I might just keep going. So you might have to stop.
No, that's perfect. I was able to take some questions down and to kick it off, and Russ does that on purpose just to throw me off.
That's it.
Yeah,
that's it.
Actually, I think a friend of mine is using your app right now. She's doing a run for some Alzheimer.
Yeah. We've had some great success with people raising money for Alzheimer's throughout the history of our app. Alzheimer's is probably one of the biggest organizations that we've raised money for in various different Alzheimer's organizations. So it's really awesome.
Yeah, it says something on our shirt. The day with the most light is the day we fight.
There we go.
Kind of the claim that they're having. Yeah. So
there we go. I like it.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And I was wondering how she's doing that, but now I know. I'm speaking with the creator of the app behind that.
There it is.
That's how teeny tiny that world is sometimes.
It is indeed. I'm glad you've got some experience with some of our customers.
Yeah. So how was it being overseas? Where did you go?
Well, I was in Argentina, Japan, Syria, Lebanon, Bahrain, and Dubai. So really. Over my 8 years, I was in 6 countries. Yeah, nowhere really. And it was great, man. I'm great. I'm very fortunate that I had very vast experiences from South America to Europe and Asia as well. Mm-hmm. So I got the experience. I'm a big person on experiencing authentic culture. And all of those experiences have been inputted into Moolathon, and I've used all of that to kind of get me where I am right now, for sure.
Yeah. What was the thing that was most surprising to you?
When I was overseas?
Yeah.
In various countries, it's various different things. When I lived in Japan, I was probably most awestruck by the fact that you can be in Tokyo, you can be in Osaka, and it's just lights and technology and all this. And literally you can drive like 10, 15 minutes and you'll be in like a temple that's like 2,500 years old. Yeah. And that juxtaposition between the old world and the new world was just so amazing to me. I mean, it's just beautiful to see different people live in their own lives. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Excuse me there. For me, as somebody with a German background, the level of organization in Japan threw me off. When the first time I was in Tokyo, like, Wow. And they say Germans are organized. This is a different level.
Yeah. Well, so you have to be careful mentioning Germany around me because I have a special affinity for German engineering, and I'm like obsessed with World War II. I think it's like the most interesting time in human history. So,
well, the one is kind of good. The other one, we don't like to talk about that too much anymore.
Yeah. Absolutely. But it's an important time to study so we don't repeat our mistakes from the past.
That's true. That's true. And even the German engineering, we have a German car, and today the flap fell off from where you can charge. It's a flap, it fell off. And I said to my wife today, well, that's where German engineering has come to. Things fall off randomly. And a new car, it's a brand new car. It's like 4 weeks old.
Well, the myth about Germans is you can't mention that out loud because then whoever runs that company will go like find whoever put that door latch on, and then they'll take them out back and punish them for it. So
I know. There's an hilarious bit and we eventually come to your bit. There's an hilarious bit in Top Gear, an old Top Gear, where he has
one of my all-time favorite shows.
Where Jeremy has a Mercedes, and the Mercedes needs to be serviced, and eventually he was like, "No, I'm not going there," and then people would just show up and service it for him. And then the next time it was time to be serviced, he put it in an underground garage without any connectivity, whatever. And then the three started wondering about what happened to the car. If it would, kill itself because it wouldn't be able to be serviced and whatever. So,
it's gonna end its own life, huh? I love it.
I have to stop here.
So Jeremy Clarkson is one of my all-time favorite TV personalities for sure.
I know. Not politically correct at all, which makes it even more fun.
Yes. No, absolutely not.
Because he's an equal opportunity offender when it comes to that.
That's right. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's fun. That is very impressive. I like hearing about people that had to work for the initial little stuff, like you with your teams, and just to get started somehow. I'm always curious about what are the experiences that you pick up when doing so. Is there any core principles you've learned while selling drinks, washing cars to fund your teams? What do you think?
Yeah, 100%. For me, all of this is learned experience. So again, I was self-taught with graphic design, and I just had a style that kind of stuck out to people, and people wanted me to start designing t-shirts and flyers and things like that for them. And so I learned a lot from that. And then I never thought that after playing basketball that I would be working designing sports apparel and brand logos and working with brand identities. And I stumbled into that. And I've been very fortunate in having good relationships that would help me to work with companies like a Nike or an Anta, something like that, before developing my own company and sort of seeing that side of the curtain. But all of that has taught me very much on what to look for when building a team, what to look for when looking for partners to partner with, and then also helping to understand clients' needs. I think that, my travels and my experience and how I've developed my professional career has also led me into understanding how to build a team, how to find customers, what customers we should target. And so I feel very fortunate, and I know you say that a lot of it is learned experience, but I also feel very blessed that I've had some of the relationships that I've had to help me, cultivate those experiences into what I've become today, the entrepreneur that I am today.
Yeah. But the relationships, I think that is more natural and more necessary than a lot of people like to admit, because without relationships / mentorship, right? A lot of the people don't know the direction where to go to or what is their ceiling or where to go. For me, for example, I knew that I had a lot of people that kind of pushed the glass ceiling further from what I thought where it should be. Like I thought, this is where I'm going to go. And they were like, no. This is where you start. This is where you go, right?
Right.
And then I would achieve that. And then the next guy would come into my life and be like, no, not here. You got to go there. And these are the 5 ways how to get there. And I think that's where, and this again is underappreciated. I think this is where the relationships come in. This is where the mentors, the people that you meet come in and give you the messages of, no, 5 things here, a couple of things there, and that's your path.
And then
100%.
somehow he ended up doing a podcast with me, and it ruined everything.
Tell him you changed your life, Maurice. You changed your life. I like it.
By the way, in case you didn't know, the government is listening. I was at a green card interview today, and that was the first question that was asked. What is the Crazy People podcast? So be aware.
There you go. There you go. There you go. Man, I'm used to them listening to me all the time. I swear, it seems like I was just talking about this the other day. I had a drink with someone of a drink that I had never heard of before in my life. And all of a sudden now, I'm not kidding. If I open YouTube, I will see YouTube commercials for that drink. All the time. Like, it happens to me all the time. So I'm convinced they're listening anyway. So don't worry about it.
Oh, they are. They are.
One more ear.
They are. Those people are. Right. I wasn't surprised about that. But the government side of it, I was a little bit surprised.
Absolutely, man.
So sorry, go ahead. And let's talk about people that kind of showed you the way and became your role models in ways, and like your directors in terms of directing you towards the path that you eventually have to go on.
Yeah, absolutely. So I would say, just for someone who comes from the sports world, I had a lot of idols and people who I'd studied anyway. So I think early, and I think a lot of entrepreneurs had this as well, a lot of your mentors are people you never met before, like in the early stages, people who you study and stuff like this. And I had a bunch of people in various different disciplines. And for me, it was always entrepreneurs and designers, whether that be Steve Jobs, who's everybody's idol, to Dieter Rams, who is a German guy who is, famous for creating the 10 principles of design. And he's someone who I studied heavily in college, especially when I was finding my way through the whole graphic design and branding type of thing. And even like people like Frank Lloyd Wright, who I'm big into architecture, but understanding their design philosophies and how they developed the business. And so these were some of my early people who I stumbled into. And then I actually was fortunate enough, once I finished playing basketball and I started working in the corporate world and everything, I was actually able to start meeting some people, some local angels and people that worked at corporations. And I was like, wow, these are like real people that are like doing the thing. They're really doing the thing, and picking their brain and sort of adapting that to my philosophy on how I was going to build my business and build my company. Yeah. So again, it's a lot of it has been happenstance and a lot of it has been relationship related. But as far as mentors go, I had in college, I was thinking that these people were mythical people and I would never meet anyone of that ilk. And then being fortunate enough to work in design and branding and work in the corporate structure and being like, I'm actually meeting people that this guy has sold 2 companies. This guy has done this, and people that I can call to this day because I covered those relationships.
How was it working with or at Nike?
It was great. So Nike is, to me, when it comes to branding and commercial appeal, I think there's Nike and there's Apple and there's everyone else, right? And so to be able to see behind the door at that level was absolutely amazing. To see the team, to see how everyone was laser focused on like one thing, and this is something I admire, I aspire to get to, because like right now as an entrepreneur, I'm wearing so many hats. We're a very small team. But they're
all Nike hats, aren't they? Is that
just actually after I worked at Nike, I worked at Anta, so there might be a few Anta hats.
Some mixes there. Okay,
yeah,
no problem.
Yeah, absolutely. It was just good to see behind the curtain, man, to see how a company like that has grown to where they've grown to from their origins in Oregon and the waffle trainer, literally making the first shoe on a waffle iron. And, seeing the first running shoe was made, the sole of it was made on a waffle iron. And, their origins in we think of Nike as this huge company, and they were created, technically, I guess the 70s is 50 years ago now. But it doesn't seem like that long ago that this company was started, and they are where they are now, one of the biggest companies in the world. Same thing with Apple, late 70s, early 80s, and look where they are now. More money than most governments, if not all. And so, it's just amazing for me to sort of look at that history and to have been able to see behind the curtain and see where those companies have grown to and how they operate and see how you can get a team that's so laser focused on the small, minute details on things.
Yeah. So why do you think, and how do you think are they doing this to get the entire team focused like that?
One of the biggest things I think is just to minimizing people's roles and to get people focused on one thing. It's one thing to say we have to build this thing, but if I say it's one thing to say we have to build this car, but if I say, hey Maurice, you only tires. I want you to give me the best tire. Go find me the best tires you can possibly find, and you're not worried about the engine, the tires, the exhaust, all the gearbox. You're not worried about all those things. You're laser focused on your job. And then someone else on like the finest of detail. And it's just having a big team that can be so laser focused on one task that contributes to the entire task. It's easy to see. I mean, even to this day, when Apple goes into a new sector like AI, I just read about them going into AI 2 or 3 years ago, and now they're putting out revolutionary products. They're building teams really quickly and finding the talent that can sort of realize these products and bring them to the marketplace.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but having the funds also helps.
100%. 100%. It makes things a lot easier.
Yeah. If you don't have to wash cars to get it done, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Sell a little mulch, wash cars, popcorn. I think you can get it done a little quicker.
What were some of the core differences that you experienced going to a Chinese company?
100%. I mean, just the everything that I just told you about Nike and how they develop a team and things like that, they do that. And when I say if people were laser focused on a minuscule task at Nike, it was 10 times that at Anta. Only the respect for the employees wasn't there as much. The credit that people got wasn't there as much. And so it was like a lot of it was like behind scenes, but you would, for example, when they asked me to design the app, I did all the UI UX design and the proof of concept, like the motion stuff, but it wasn't an actual app. And I literally handed it off to them. And in 3 days, it was a fully working app. So it's like they just kind of took it off and came back with it, and it was like, that's magic. And then I had to build my own app, and I was like, it doesn't work like that. Where are all these little fairies that went and built this app for me?
Where's the app magic? How does that happen?
Yeah, where does that happen? Yeah. I snapped my fingers and made an app last time.
I went away Friday, and I came back Monday. The app's not done. What happened?
Yeah, what's going on? I don't understand it.
Who's responsible for this?
Yes, exactly. So yeah, those little things like that, and it's just like you just know that. Although there's a ton of people being responsible for some of those things, and probably in more cases than people at Nike or Apple, but you're not going to see those people, and they're not going to get nearly the credit, and I'm sure they're not reaping the rewards of it, unfortunately. So,
yeah. On your earlier travels, and this is something that happened to me, that I discovered who I was and what my cultural background was once I lived abroad. What did you experience about yourself that you think like, I'm so American that way? Well, I'm so much a southerner that way, because they are different, but it also works, right?
Yeah. So I had that initial shock. So the first country that I went to was Argentina that I was playing in, and I was there for 3 months, and I was miserable because I was being spoiled American and expecting the world to change for me and change around me. And I was 21 at the time and just being just an American spoiled person. Right. And it's just like, one of the things, but as I got to travel more and as I played more, one of the things that I prided myself on was adaptability. And that's being able to adapt to whether it's different cultures or different environments, different food, everything, all of the above. And so for me, it was a very unique experience finding myself, because 6 to 8 months out of the year, I was literally living in another country by myself. And a lot of times I was signing contracts to go play somewhere, and within 48 hours, I was in a country that I didn't expect to be in a week ago, because it was an opportunity to go get paid to play professional basketball. And so I think there's so much that I learned. I mean, I would almost accredit almost everything I am in my adult life to being able to travel to different countries and then be by myself and sort of learn to adjust to those different cultures and figure a lot about myself. You learn a lot about yourself when you spend a lot of time with yourself. So,
yeah, that's true. Also, I think from a cultural perspective, you kind of experience there's different answers to the test, whatever the test is, right?
Yes.
Like for me, the simplest example is always placement of traffic lights.
Okay.
Right?
Okay. I like this. Yes.
Like in Germany, there's a stop line, the traffic light is right there. right? Meanwhile, in the US, especially if you go south, like Florida or somewhere, there's a stop line and the traffic light is
way down there. That's right.
The first thing I did, like the first 2 days, I went way into the crossroads before I stopped. I was like, oh, no, that's not working.
Absolutely. Right? Absolutely. Yeah.
But it works and it makes sense. So everything that you're used to for 20, 25 years or how long it ever took you to go to a different country, you see like, oh, I can unlearn this and learn new behavior. And it's not better, it's not worse, it's just a different approach
it's just different,
to the same solution, right? To find a solution for the same problem. And that is something where I think life gets you sometimes and surprises you, especially if you go to so many different countries as you did, right? That are really different night to day. So that's not two answers to the same test. It's like 10 answers to the same test.
That's right. That's right. I think that's one of the beauties of of just humanity in general is just seeing the different paths. There's no, like you said, there's no one way to do this. This thing called life, any kind of problem that there is, and various cultures, various people have all figured out their own answers to the test, so to speak. They've all figured out their own solution. When you were just talking, you were actually bringing up visuals of me in Shibuya in Tokyo. And I remember just the humanity that you would see, especially me, I'm 6'9". So I'm usually walking in Japan, like in Shibuya, where it's like super crowded. It's just like a sea of humanity. You just see bobbing heads, right? Like it's just as far as the eye can see. And then there's these massive intersections, 6-way stops, 8-way stops, right? And the light changes and everyone, and I mean everyone, they stop and they're completely obedient to the laws, right? And it would blow my mind. And I'm thinking like in America, not only do we not all the time go to the crosswalk, we jaywalk half the time, but we're definitely, if we're in a rush or something like that, we're definitely going to just see if a car is coming and cross that. But the society, the overall obedience of society and just the understanding that the humans had in relationship to each other, with their government, with all these things. You were just sparking images of that in my head when you were talking about your traffic light
maybe they were just a little weirded out because there was this one American head floating above the whole crowd, the tallest guy keeping an eye on everybody, checking out, watching. They're like, oh, that guy over there looks like he's watching us. I don't know. He's way tall up there. I don't know.
I had a good visual on him. Oddly enough, I tell people this all the time. I said, if it's way down there, I'm going to see it before anyone. If it's like right here underneath my nose, if someone's like right here, I'll probably be the last to see it. So, off in the distance is usually where my gaze is.
Oh, that's funny. But you also start to appreciate too when you associate with cultures from around the world. I've always appreciated how people are people. And you see that somebody in China or in Japan or whatever, their family, like their kids, is just as important.
That's right.
Their brother, sister, mom, dad, whatever. And we're like, we're so different. No, people are people.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. That's the beauty of humanity, man.
Yep.
And that all brought you to come up with your own app, Moolathon.
Yes, Moolathon. Moolah and thon, like moolah, money. Moolah. And then thon, like a marathon.
Oh,
thon, a unit of measurement. Yeah, absolutely. Got it. Absolutely. Yeah.
So in America, we make up words, Maurice. Remember, right? In America, we make up words. In German, you build words together to make up a long word. In America, we just make them up at random.
Yeah, that's right. So. There we go.
That's why English sounds so much better than German. German is really fact-driven.
I don't speak any German, but I definitely feel like I'm getting a lecture all the time. If someone has a German accent or they're speaking, number one, I take them way more serious. Who can't take? I feel like you can say the exact same thing as like an English person with an English accent, and then if you say it in German, people are going to take it more serious instantly like that. So
that's funny with accents, right? Because you have these ideas behind accents. Right now, Russian is again the bad guy, right?
There it is.
And experiments, and thanks to Russia, because
yeah, there you go. Taking the heat off of you guys, huh?
Taking the heat off.
I love it.
And also, if it's a British person, it's much more serious and formal, right? Much more elegant, to say that.
Yeah, I typically think when I hear a British person, I'm really into cars and like racing and stuff like that as well too. And it's like when I hear an American announcer, I'm like, oh, this is a good race. But then when you hear like a British announcer and it's just they're speaking that British and they're talking about the excitement. When a British person gets excited, it just seems like such a more luxurious and extravagant event, you know. Just to hear a British person talk about like style and fashion and sophistication, I mean, it just adds a level of it. So,
well, I don't believe them when they talk about fashion, because if you ever been in the UK, you know they have no clue what fashion is. I know I'm a German, but I've been in France and I've been to Italy. I saw what fashion looks like. It's not UK born.
That's right. I think the French and Italians definitely got that settled up. Yeah,
we've offended every country in the world. Let's go back to the app.
Let's go back to the app.
We're blaming this on Maurice because he's got the government listening to us. So he's the one that's got us talking about all the countries and offending everybody. So
it's my fault. That's the default I'm used to. It's my fault.
There you go. Yep.
I love it.
Talk about your app. What's the motivator behind it?
So Moolathon. It's a performance-based fundraising platform. It gives groups, organizations, and individuals the ability to raise money with the miles you walk, run, or bike. So the app works in a couple of different ways depending on what type of user you are. So if you're an individual and you're looking to raise money with the miles that you personally run, walk, or bike, you share your profile with friends and family via social media, text, and email. They then pledge a dollar amount per mile limited to a maximum number of miles they set. I might say, hey, Maurice, I'm willing to give you $20, but now you have to go out and earn it with every mile that you walk, run, or bike. Once you receive sponsors, whether that be one sponsorship or 20 sponsorships, you simply track your workouts with our platform, and every mile you log earns a bit more from each sponsor's total pledge. After each of your workouts, each sponsor will get a progress report. Hey, Maurice just ran 2 miles and earned $4 more of your potential $50 pledge. And then once you've accumulated all the miles that I've pledged, I'm charged. Money shows in your account within 7 to 10 business days. And that's how individuals raise money on the platform. If you're a group or organization, you can host virtual fitness fundraisers on the platform. So we're talking about walkathons, biking events, any type of movement to make money, distance oriented. And so you can host these virtual fitness fundraisers, and then your supporters can register to participate in them anytime, anywhere in the world. So this means you don't have to ask people to wake up early on their off day, drive to your event venue, give you $30 to $50 just to go home with a t-shirt, right? They can do this anytime, anywhere in the world, and at their own convenience. So we add an element of convenience to these fitness fundraisers, allowing these groups and organizations to reach more people and in more places. So eliminating that excuse of, hey, we're not going to be in town that day, you know, that kind of thing. And then lastly, we do the same thing for employers as well. Post-pandemic, employers are dealing with a smaller workforce than ever that's in person. We've got companies here. One of our biggest employees here in town they had 5 big buildings downtown. Now they're down to 1. They donated 3 of them to the local university, sold 1 of them because only 33% of their workforce wanted to return to in person. Now they're actually faced with a whole other problem, which is how do you get these people who are no longer in the office moving? How do you get them motivated to move? And Moolathon provides them a platform of getting both local and remote employees moving, whether it be for one cause, if you want to unite your workforce behind one cause and help them raise money and get your employees more healthy, or you can have the sales team versus the marketing team and they can raise money for individual causes.
That's perfect. I love it. How did you, first of all, I like how you switch into business mode like that.
Thank you. Thank you.
How did you get your app developed? So what was your process going there? Because everybody has a great idea, right? And Russ and I, we have a lot of ideas, but there's not a lot of apps coming out of it. So how did you put your ideas to reality? What were your steps?
Again, I think I'm in a fortunate situation in the sense that I have a background in UI UX design. When I had the idea for Moolathon and I was like, oh man, I've done fundraisers like this as a kid with a clipboard and a piece of paper. Mm-hmm. How can I translate this into an app? So step 1 for me was starting to sort of design my app. And I think, that's the biggest task for a lot of other people is how you approach someone like myself to design an app. And again, I was fortunate enough to skip that step. Step two for me was proof of concept, which is really my step one. So once I had this idea and I knew how the app was going to work, now I had to tell people about it and try to figure out how to, get it built or to raise money. Because again, I'm not a developer, I'm a designer. And so I knew how to get the front end side of it and how to communicate the idea to people, but I didn't know how to actually build that thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so in this, I started having a few conversations and I learned about a competition here in Kentucky called 5 Across. And so in 2019, I had put together a demo, just a few little slides of my demo and a few little slides on a deck. And I decided to go pitch this idea. And they have 5 Across Works. They have every month, they have a different pitch competition for 3. They pick 3 companies per month. And then at the end, they have a grand pitch off between the companies that have sort of won. And I had the idea, threw it out there, and we won the little regional thing. And then we got to the end of the year and we won, and we were fortunate enough to win a little bit of money. And I was like, I got to go build this thing now. Got to figure out how to build this thing. And so, so then I started trying to figure out how to build it. And I realized that it was going to cost hundreds of thousands of dollars to try to build this application here in the US, finding the best talent that there was. And so I had to try to figure out how to duct tape together another idea. And so I learned about offshore development. And it's crazy. We've got a great grasp of it now. But initially, we went through 2 different offshore development teams, lost a little bit of money in the process, which I think is probably inevitable for any company that's looking to build an app that way. But eventually, we got the thing built. And it got to a point where in 2021, we had won a vote award also, which is, it's a highly coveted award here in Kentucky, but it comes with like a $25,000 grant and an accelerator program. And so we got this vote award, and I had this thing that was kind of working, and we were testing it and all this other stuff. And the pandemic hit. Bam. Right. And so when the pandemic hit, again, my background as a design and branding person is sort of a gift and a curse. It's a gift in that, of course, I can skip that first step that I told you about that other people have that pain point of dealing with. But it's a curse in that a product is almost never ready in my mind. Like it's like I'm a perfectionist when it comes to the product because I can just kind of lock in and hone in on that product. And so when the pandemic hit, we had already been testing for close to 6 months. And I was just like, the product's not ready. It's not ready. It's not doing this. It's not doing that. And all of a sudden the pandemic hit and I started getting emails from people. And what people had done was these are groups and organizations that basically they whole survival depends on 1, 2, maybe 3 fundraisers a year, right? And so the rest of the time they're spending their time organizing these fundraisers. And these 5Ks which are the most effective form when it comes to dollars generated of fundraising in the United States, over $14 billion annually. A lot of these people were stuck with all of a sudden, we got to cancel these in-person events. We've been planning this thing all year. What are we going to do? So they just started Googling, and through us winning the vote awards and 5 Across, I guess people got the impression, and because of our website, people got the impression that we were like already up and running. And so people started saying, hey, how can I use your platform for this? How can I use this? And I turned away probably 35 to 40 different people putting on events. And I had a lunch 2 or 3 weeks into the pandemic. I had a meeting with one of my mentors. And I was like, I got these people calling me and I think we got a good thing. And once we're ready, we'll be able to reach back out to them. And he's like, so you've been telling them they're not going to get on your platform? And I was like, yeah. He was like, don't do that. Even if it's not, if you got duct tape, if you can put it together and get it out there, then get it out there. And again, I look at everything as a positive. I feel like the pandemic kind of gave me that kick in the pants a little bit to push this out probably 6 months earlier than I probably would have without the pandemic. And again, just another fortunate, I hate to call the pandemic, if you can call it that, a fortunate situation, but it did give me that kick in the pants that we needed to get this thing out in the marketplace and test what we had built.
Yeah, it's funny when the customer comes to you and says like, nope, you're ready.
Yeah, I know.
You're ready. Give me what you got. It's good enough. Come on over here. Right. It's good enough. That's what I need.
That's right.
Let's go.
Let's get going.
It's easier said than done when it's your baby. You know what I'm saying? And you're like, I don't want the world to see my baby. It's ugly. And that's the whole. That was sort of my whole mentality. Was like, it's not ready. I don't want anyone to see it just yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, we don't always have the option for that kind of timing.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. By the way, another German joke. There's a joke here with a kid having a huge head, and then one mother starts talking about it, and then the other lady sitting next to her turns around and says like, "Yeah, that's my son." And then the first lady goes like, "That big head, it really rang it well."
Yeah. There it goes.
So,
there it goes.
Whatever you think is ugly about your product, the customer's like, "Yeah, I like it. Give it to me."
Moolathon was that large-headed child there. So.
What you thought, but it really wasn't.
It really
the other
wasn't.
one, it was the golden child.
That's right. That's right. That's right. To someone else, perfect. It was their solution. So
yeah. What did you learn about, and how did you go about it, putting your company together? Because it's one thing to be the ball player and being in an organization, a big organization. A lot of things are being done for you in terms of organizational.
Yes.
How is it to suddenly be the guy to put it all together for yourself, for your own company?
It's daunting and overwhelming at times, but you learn quickly. And I think if you have good mentors, they'll tell you this. You learn quickly the key in building a team. And right now we're actually in the process. It's funny that we're having this conversation because I think a team is really, really important. That's the one thing I learned from Nike to Anta to even I played team sports. So understanding how important the team is was really imperative to our growth. And here we are. We're at another inflection point to where we need to hit that next level of growth. And to do so, we have to grow and scale our team. And I can pride myself on this, and hopefully I'm not tooting my horn too much, but as an athlete, I was sort of always a bit of a leader on the team. And I kind of prided myself on knowing how not only to operate within a team, but knowing this person requires this for motivation and this person requires that, and understanding the different ways to lead different people. And I feel like that's translated 100% into building Moolathon and growing our team at Moolathon. And I think a team is absolutely imperative to scaling, because you're not going to be able to do it yourself. I mean, the only thing that I can say that I've been able to do myself is build the team and identify talent a little bit. So,
but that's where team sports really prepares you for it, right? Because first of all, you know that there's a team dynamic, that everybody has different opinion, and yet you need to come together to achieve the same goal. And also you appreciate that not everybody is the same. Right. Yes, you said like how to motivate, right? But also everybody brings different skill set, right? Some are the shooters, some are defensive, and some are doing completely other things, right?
Yeah.
That's one reason why I think for kids it's great to do team sports. We are trying to push my son, only child, into team sports. To kind of learn some of the really, really fundamental skills of.
I'm in the same situation with my son. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. And you learn, again, I think that's one of the most essential things to have a successful, any kind of environment, whether that's a work environment, a team environment. I think being able to understand personalities is key and imperative for a leader's success, right? You got to know that, hey, Russ doesn't listen unless I yell at him. Like, if I don't get angry with Russ, he don't listen.
Yeah, that's true. Maurice, how do you know
that? Maurice on the other, we know that now. I've learned that in a few short conversations already. So, Maurice, on the other hand, I need to tell him, say, hey, look, you're doing a great job, marvelous job. But I have to handle him with kid gloves. But you might want to change this a little bit. You might want to tweak this. And just understanding just who responds best to what sort of communication style.
I think, too, that when you're playing in a team sport, especially a larger team sport where there's a bunch of people on the team at the same time, like tennis, you're kind of individual, right? But like basketball or football or those kind of things, you tend to also realize when that person next to you in the team has a blind spot. And they don't really do that well. So I've got to come in and help them behind. So it's not only just 100%. The leader trying to get the right people in the right places, but also go, oh yeah, Russ is not going to cover that because he doesn't understand that or doesn't get it. See it.
That's right.
So I've got to get Maurice over here to cover that part of the project or whatever, getting it out. Right. So
That's right. That's right. Yeah, you got my mind thinking about basketball and stuff like that too. And that's also good coaches too can adapt to their personnel. And
Mhm.
it's just like a good coach isn't so rigid in his system and implementing his system, and the fact that it's like, hey, last year with this team, we did this, we ran this offense and all that. But like you said, hey, this person has this deficiency, this person has this deficiency, this person is excels in this, and this person excels. So being able to adjust your system based on your personnel
Mhm.
is really key for a successful coach, and not just saying, hey, this is the system, you guys kind of fit within it. It's sort of a ebb and flow kind of thing. So yeah, it's very important for sure.
Well, you can do it, right? But it's going to be much harder to build a team that way, because now you need to find the right people for
Yeah.
that system,
That's right.
right?
That's right.
So it's much
That's right.
easier to change the system towards the many people versus finding a handful of people that fit that system, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
If Popovich can change, everybody else can
I
change.
was just
right?
thinking, that's crazy. You just picked that name out of my head. You literally just pulled that name out of my head. That's
I mean,
crazy.
he's the example for it, right? Where initially everybody thought, no, he has a system, he molds everybody to fit it. But then in reality, if you look over the past, 25 years or so, even now with the French kid in there,
Yeah.
you see he's been more agile and
So when I was
and
thinking about Popovich, what you said, and I was thinking about his longevity, I think a lot of people think, oh, he's got a system and almost anybody can plug into that.
no,
He does have a system, but what makes him the brilliant coach that he is, and what gives him the longevity, is the fact that he's able to take this player and identify, okay, you're really good at this, so I'm going to have you do this, and then find another player. Oh, you're really good at this. Let me have you do this. And so he can sort of make up for the deficiencies within the team by
Mhm.
having that unique talent of being able to understand, okay, this person's good at this, and putting people in positions to win. And I think
exactly.
that's key, is just helping, giving people that all the tools and assets they can have to be in a
Yeah.
position to win.
And that translates directly into a small and growing business, right? So like,
Exactly.
because you don't have 10,000 people where it's like, oh, if 100 people aren't really doing well, wow, who cares, right?
Right.
You got a small team that you got to make sure that everybody is getting everything done, and somebody's backing them up, and somebody else is, driving forward, and everything else all at the same time. Right?
The meeting that almost had me late for this one, I was meeting with someone who's helping us find interns, right?
Mhm.
And so I got to interview these two kids that are going to be interning with us this summer. And the whole time, all I talked about was, what are you good at? What do you want to do? So I can figure out how to put you within our team. I'm not just going to give you some stuff that's just going to, we need you to do this, so you do it, and it's mundane task work for them. I want to know how you can best help us out. Tell me what you're good at. What do you want to do? What do you want to do after this? What do you want? What are you trying to accomplish out of this internship? And so my whole goal in that, even just today, was trying to put people in the best positions to win, because ultimately that's going to help my company, Moolathon, and our team win.
Yeah. When you're having these discussions, I mean, you keep having them, you will find, or at least that's my experience, you will find that at the beginning, some people don't believe you. They think it's just you saying stuff, but then if you really live it, they look at you funny, like, what do you mean? I really can be who I am and just perform in my niche.
Right.
That's crazy, right?
That's right. That's right. But you want people to feel comfortable in that. And I think once people realize, like, hey, this person's put me in an opportunity. Like, I don't want you to do sales if you're in marketing. I want you
Yeah.
to, if you want to help us on social media and you want to do marketing and content creation, then I want you there. I don't want to force you doing sales or doing cold calls and things like that. So again, I think happiness is imperative to people's productivity. So
Yeah. As a relatively young entrepreneur, what keeps you up Sunday night? For me, Sunday night is always the truth moment, right?
Yeah.
Because there's nobody tapping your shoulder and telling you how great you are. It's when the truth comes and finds you.
Yeah, yeah. It's funny that you call that Sunday night, because for me, that's like almost every night. Like, I'm most excited on Sunday nights because I hate Friday nights. Like, Friday nights are the ones that I don't like, because I'm like, there's so much more I wanted to get done. Like, I had so much more. So like on Mondays, I'm already like, if anything's keeping me up on a Sunday night, it's usually just this long list of things that I'm trying to create, because we're at such an early stage. There's just so much. It feels there's so much to be done, and I'm wearing wearing so many hats. Usually my Sunday nights are I'm creating to-do list for the week. So that's what keeps me up at night.
Nice.
And I mean, every night, obviously customers growing, there's pressure as an entrepreneur. We just finished the Techstars program a few months ago, and there's pressure to scale the team and grow, to raise money, to do it quickly. Now we're actually in a unique position of where it's like, this ecosystem has been really great for us, this Kentucky ecosystem and this region of Kentucky and Indiana and Cincinnati and even Nashville. We've done really good at growing within this region. But now that we've gotten into this Techstars program and we've completed it, we've had a chance to go out to Palo Alto, Silicon Valley, out in Austin, Texas, and we've seen, okay, what's the next level of this startup thing? And so now that's sort of the next big thing for me that's keeping me up, is how to scale quickly. And that's what I'm focused on right now. And that's what's keeping me up at night.
What's the next skill you're learning?
Next skill?
Yeah.
Ooh.
What is where you say like, okay, this is, and I'm staying in a basketball metaphor, right? The season just ended, basketball is done. What's the next skill you're coming back with in the next season?
So I'm really sharpening up my fundraising skills. So now, as a product guy, this is actually kind of crazy because I've always been a product guy, and I've always had I've always had businesses, and I've always been an entrepreneur as well. But to now step out and to really see how people have raised, some of the people in my Techstars cohort have already raised $10+ million. And so to see, okay, now you have to take off your hat of, hey, let's get the team going. Let's build this product. Let's get customers, to, hey, now you have to figure out how to gently hand that off, because now fundraising is going to be your full-time job, right? You got to go talk to VCs. You got to go pitch your company. And so that's a new skill that I'm working on, is venturing into raising money. We've been very fortunate that we've bootstrapped our way to this point. We've raised quite a bit of money, but all through pitch competitions, and we've been awarded grants and things like that. But now we actually have to go put foot to the pavement and raise a little bit of money. And so I think that's, being a fundraiser is the cap that I'm now wearing, and the new skill that I'm kind of polishing up.
Nice.
That's got to be super interesting. Oh, go ahead, Russ. I'm sorry.
No, it's just as I talk to startup folks, you end up with people who are like, yeah, I've got to the point now where I've got to bring in some extra money to take this to the next level. And that is such a different skill set than you've learned all the way along, right? Yeah, it's just, it's a tough gear to shift.
100%. 100%. I think we're ready to do it. And we're very fortunate that we've raised money organically to this point. And we've been very fortunate to be accepted into certain programs like Techstars and things like that. And so we've got some good mentorship to lean on, but it's definitely the next hat that I'm wearing. So I'm excited for it.
Perfect. I thank you so much that you've been our guest. It was really fantastic. But I got one more question for you.
Okay. I
just mixed it up. So Russ didn't see it coming, because usually he sees it coming. Dinner guests, 5 dinner guests, dead or alive.
Plant that foot hard.
Dead or alive.
Plant that foot hard, pivot, take a shot. Let's go.
Ooh, dead or alive. Dead or alive. Okay, we're going Steve Jobs, Muhammad Ali.
All right.
Frank Lloyd Wright. Oh, should we do Dieter Rams? Oh, man, probably Dieter Rams. Oh, man. Frank Lloyd Wright. See, I've already got an architect in there. I've got like 3 other architects in my head. I'll probably throw Michael Jordan in there. No, I got Ali in there already. Hold on.
No.
Wait. Not Jordan. I got Ali in there, and he's got the wisdom. Maybe
there's somebody who's really funny, 6'9", has kind of like a same path as you, as that he did sports.
Magic?
Learned how to do it. Of course, Magic. Are you kidding
Magic's got to be there. Magic has got to be there.
I never dictated a guest.
Magic has got to be there.
I dictated a guest before.
You know what? But you didn't really. I'm going to tell you right now, if you didn't say that, when I would have gotten in the car and been on the way home, I'd have been like, I should have said Magic Johnson. So,
well, henceforth, we will call you Magic Wilkinson. There you go.
I like it. I like it very much. We've got more talking to do, Maurice, man. I'm telling you, this whole German thing, we could go on and on about it. I tell you about some of my experiences and stuff like that. So we go on and on. You plucked two names out of my head already, so that's pretty good. With Popovich and also with Magic Johnson. So
there you go. I mean, that's what I like about Magic the most, is that he utilized the late Dr. Buss and said, all those people sitting in the front row, I want to know how they made their money.
Okay, right? Now, if we're going to talk about Magic, okay, now he did that. But do you know there's a guy from right here in Louisville, Kentucky, who has done a lot of the similar things that Magic has done and is worth 2 or 3 times more money than Magic Johnson? It's a guy by the name of Junior Bridgman. He used to play for the Nets. He played at the University of Louisville. Russ probably knows who I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. And he started out owning a whole chain of Wendy's franchises, and now he's into Coca-Cola bottling. And he's a billionaire many times over. And so he's someone else that's kind of gone under the radar, but very much of a Magic Johnson type of a character who took I believe he played like 11 years and made less than $200,000 in his career. He played in the 70s.
I think I heard about him just a few weeks ago.
Yeah, and he turned that into multi-billion-dollar business. So Junior Bridgman. So that's another one that I might want to get to the table. But he's local, so I might prefer Magic. I hope he doesn't. I hope this doesn't get to their ears.
Well, Junior listens all the time, so yes.
Oh, well, so Junior Bridgman is the one that I would really have at the table. So just so you know, that's who I meant to say.
Oh, sir, it's been an honor and a pleasure, and I wish you all the best for your endeavors. And keep rocking, and keep having fun. Okay.
Thank you guys, and congrats on your success on everything with this podcast as well. And I look forward to future conversations. Hopefully they don't all have to be recorded. We can grab a beer or something like that and hang out.
Absolutely. You take care. And for everybody else, thank you very much for listening and watching, whatever you did. And see you with the next podcast and next crazy person coming in. All right? You take care. Bye-bye.